Welcome back. I believe where we left off last time was I took this engine out. I put it on a dolly so I could roll it around. Today, I want to finish removing everything off this frame. And I'm going to start, let's see, where am I going to start? I think I'm going to start by loosening some stuff on the front end. There's one. I got smart. I brought a bolt with me to thread into the nut to pull it out. There we go. The brake stay was holding it. Come on. All right. Well, the wheel's off. I have to take this apart to be able to see how the brakes are in it. So it's missing the lock, which makes it easier to put another one in. Got these two. I didn't know it had two, with one on each side. I guess we just zip these bolts off and we can take the legs off. Not too bad, I guess. All right, your turn. Don't give me a hard time here. Yeah. See how those are broken? Both of them. on the legs. But like I said, I did come up with a cure for that. When time comes, I'll show you that. Place your bets. What kind of bearings are in here? Ball bearings, roller bearings? I'm going to say ball bearings. Even though this one may have been apart before. It's ball bearings. Dreaded ball bearings. See how many of them I dropped this time. Well, there goes one already. The stem's not really that rusty. That's a good sign. Sure, we can sand this down, paint it up, and it won't look too bad. Oh, there goes another one. Just got to get this end off. Like I said, the ones I got are ball bearings, but they're actually in a cage. I'll show you that when we go to put it in the new frame. All right, this center stand, I think it's just 2 bolts in the back that hold the shaft in. I'm not sure. I don't see anything else. I think they're just like pinch clamps. And then we can get the sleeve out that also holds the brake pedal. I'm going to give it a shot. I remove the rear brake light switch. That plunger is frozen in there. I think that's a pretty common switch though. Looks like one that fits just about a lot of bikes, so I'll have to look into getting one of those. I took the 2 bolts out, the one that goes through here and the one that goes through here, and I took the spring from the brake pedal off. I'm guessing that the rod slides out this way, the pedal comes off, and then the center stand will drop. I believe my theory is correct with one little minor detail. There's a cotter pin right here that's got to come out. I think that slides out, and then we can push the tube through. Well, that was a nightmare. Here's my cotter pin in several pieces, but it is out, so now I'm going to try to get that tube out. So I ran into a major snag here. The bar here that runs through the brake pedal and through the center stand is frozen into the brake pedal. Not the center stand, but the brake pedal. So I got that out some, but now it just will not budge. So what I plan on doing now is taking the rear off, the rear wheel, swing arm, that, maybe flipping the frame upside down and see if I can work on it some heat or something. Yeah, the more I find out about this bike, this thing was welded back together as well, and I think part of the stem over there is cut off, so maybe the center stand's not even that good. All right, well, I took the nut off here, so hopefully I can get the axle out. All right. Wheel's a little rougher than I remember it. Hopefully it cleans up okay. The brake shoes a little thinner than I'd like to see them, so probably need a new set of those. Still got to take the front apart to check those. Okay, I got the frame upside down. So you can see how nice and smooth this moves without moving this. But this will not. So this is frozen onto here. You can see how I chewed that up trying to get it off. All right, next issue, the rear swing arm. If you can see that side-to-side play. That's not good. So bushing, something's worn out. Let's see if that shaft is frozen in there or if that'll come out. So this nut loosened without the shaft spinning, which is good and bad. Because if it spun, at least I know it's loose. So now I got to see if that side spins. Oh yeah. Will it come out though? Looks like it might. We might, I don't want to jinx myself, but we might get lucky on this one. So far so good. I'd much rather have this one come out than this one, that's for sure. There we go. It may need shims. I don't think there are any on here. Not that I see. That bushing moved. Okay, this is coming apart pretty good. So the only thing left is this, which is frozen in there. If I put some heat to that, it'll probably slide out. I think I'm out of gas, though, for my little torch. Yeah, I'm going to see what this is supposed to look like. I'm sure that looks like it's cut off now that I look at it. So maybe we'll get one of these. We'll have to replace this. I mean, if worse comes to worse, we get one of these when we don't even have to take this off at all. We'll get this out of here. And there's our center stand. And with that, I'm starting to paint up all the brackets. I had to get a chain guard, it didn't have one. Painting up the lower tree. Got the center stand here that I'm doing now. These mats right there, and that big one that's underneath all the bikes here. These are made for like to put under cars and bikes when you're working on them in case there's an oil spill. That's why I have these. So anything I dump oil on won't get through them into the wood. Just thought I'd explain that. So today, oh boy, my favorite. I'm going to start on these Black Bomber rims, tires, bearings. I already, used a little of the steel wool and polish just to, see what the difference would be. They're not going to be, great, but they'll be good. I'm going to wash all the grease and get all that stuff off these. But yeah, I don't know how much of this I'm going to film because, how many times can you watch me change tires? The interesting thing about this is, though, like this rear tire, I don't know if you can see it. Like these are all cracks in the tread, or in the sidewall, I should say. But look at the tread, and it even has what looks to be, like a stripe from a new tire, like when they were new. Still got the little rubber nubs in here, inside this tread. So maybe this was a new tire at one point. I'm going to have to see if I can look up the code for a Yokohama tire and see if I can figure out what year this tire was. It doesn't matter what temperature I do these tires and rims in, I'm always sweating so much. I'm going to take a wire wheel to the inside of this rim. There's some rust in there. But all in all, okay. This tire was so hard to get off. I'm going to pull the axle out of this one now. And we'll get our first look at the front brake shoes. This actually loosened up very easily. I guess the whole axle's coming out with the drum, or with the plate, I should say. Okay, well, the good news is they're not metal on metal. Speedometer housing. Anything else over here? I'm gonna have to break that free though. That's not supposed to be stuck in there like that. Why does everything on this bike want to fight me? Let me grab my brass drift or something and we'll knock this out. Alright. Front shoes look a lot better than the rear. They're Honda also. Alright, that's good news. I do have to get this axle out of here though. That should not be stuck in there. Again, another struggle to get this tire off. I tell you, I don't know if it's age or what it is. It gets harder and harder. Now this is interesting. I think this plate has to come off to get the bearings out, these 3 screws. But if you look, there's like a marker or a paint line on each one underneath the grease there. I wonder if those are original from factory, meaning these bearings or this wheel's never been apart. Well, they look very strippable, but we'll give it a shot and see if we can get them out. Whew, all 3 of them broke free. Hallelujah. Okay, all the screws are out.
Alright, I guess that's how we get to our bearings. Doesn't seem like a retainer on either side though. So I guess they just pound out. And this one goes flush. Alright, wheel bearings are out. There they are. The new ones here, gotta put in. Sorry I didn't show it, blame my editor for that. Or the producer, the director, the sound crew, my stunt double. As a matter of fact, this is all AI. I mean, none of this really exists, none of these. I'm just out here doing it for nothing. Alright, let's get these bearings in. As both bearings are identical, it doesn't really matter which side they go on. We'll just get this one started. I did confirm the axle fits in here. And they do bottom out. There is a shoulder down there, which is good. Let's take our old bearing. Remind me not to put this in, not forget to put this in like I did on the CB350. You'll know when it's in. You'll hear that noise and it won't budge. Alright. Flip this over. Drop that in. I believe it's the same on both sides. Good. There's no inner outer on these. That's it. All right. Put this back on. And we're ready for the tire. A little cleaning up on the hub here. I brought my tires out. Honestly, it's been so long I don't remember what tires I bought. I think they were Duro tires, but I don't really recall what model the tires were. But we're gonna find out in a second. Oh yeah. All right. Definitely your vintage tire. And these are the correct size for the bike, by the way. So I'll start by getting the front on and see how that goes. My bearing remover tool is a different size than the one on this thing, so I just took a punch and tapped each one around till it broke free. Now I can take this out and get to the bearings. This is the rear wheel. There we go. So I got this bearing in. There's a sleeve that goes into this bearing. Then that spacer right there. Then the other side bearing. Right, both bearing sleeves that are in. One last thing is there's a seal inside here, which I'll replace even though these are sealed bearings, so there shouldn't be any grease coming out of here, but it'll also help, you know, water or anything from getting inside. I'm actually pretty surprised at how well this hub cleaned up. I don't think the rim will be that lucky, but I mean, that's actually pretty good for what it looked like. It's a mess in here again, but that's okay. because what's been going on is I have a limited amount of time to work out here today. So you'll have to excuse me if I didn't film a lot, because sometimes filming takes like twice as long as just doing the work. And really all I did is polish these rims up, some of the rust out. I put a new sprocket on the back, cleaned up the little locks and the nuts and the little holders that go into the bushings. I'm getting ready to paint some more stuff, which is the battery box and the lower swing arm, the rear swing arm, which I did clean. I'm just waiting for it to dry, and then I'm going to paint that. So if you remember, the swing arm had some play in it. It was side to side though. It wasn't, moving around loosely, just horizontally, if you want to put it that way. So here's what I'm thinking. It's not the bushings that are worn out, the swing arm bushings. Also, I mentioned something about shims. Honda doesn't use shims. The Suzuki's, oh my God, the Yamahas do. That's how you adjust them. But they do use thrust washers, which are these, and I think they're kind of plastic, the ones that are in there. And I'm going to bet that these wore out, these thrust washers. And they do sell bronze thrust bushings, so I'm going to put them in there, and I bet that takes the side-to-side play out. All right, I'm back to painting. I'll catch you in a little bit. So while I'm in between coats on my swing arm, the fork that I took apart here, the broken piece, mainly to get this off, and that's where the fork seal is. And there's also an O-ring below. So we got to get this off, but I want to show you. This is the one I repaired. I don't know how it's going to look on camera. So what I did was I put a chopstick in that hole, and then I used some 2-part epoxy, JB Weld, and I put a piece of plastic around it, formed it in the same shape, and filled it in. And then when it was done, I had to drill the chopstick out. That's why I used wood to get the hole. Now the color, it's a pretty good match, I think anyway. The paint I used is this VHT caliper paint. And it's in cast aluminum color. And then what I did, after that dried, is I used gloss clear over it. And I think here's the other one I did. This one wasn't broken. This is one of the, I got those two in a set. And that's the one that wasn't broken. So I painted those both the same way. And yeah, it's pretty darn close to that color. So I'm trying to get all this stuff done. And I'll get the engine on a table soon before I bring the frame in here. Because, this gives me more room to work around right now. Of course, I got garbage on the floor. And those are just empty boxes because what I was doing is sorting everything. These are all new parts. I was doing like front end, back end, the center, like that. So when I work on the front end, I know all my parts are over here. Now, here's an interesting question, or actually a comment. The bike I bought, I mean, now at this point I'm considering it's just a parts bike, because I've taken all the parts off of it I need and I'm putting them on a different frame. The other interesting thing about it being a parts bike is the guy that sold it to me, I have found out, after telling me he knew nothing about, you know, Honda CB450 KOs, Black Bombers. He owns another Black Bomber and has owned it for a long time. So he didn't reveal that to me, you know. He's telling me, oh, the bike doesn't have a side stand. They never did. And here he has another one with a side stand. I found this out when I was just checking other bikes for sale. He had another listing, and I just went to his profile, and I was looking back, and sure as shit, there he had another Black Bomber that he prizes as a possession. So he had that long before the one I bought. So not only do I believe it was a parts bike right from the beginning for his bike, and he put all the crappy parts on that one and sold it, I also believe it is now considered a parts bike because I'm taking all the good parts off of it that I need to put on my new frame with a bunch of other used parts, new parts. It's just going to be, you know, one of those kind of bikes that's just made from a bunch of other bikes and parts. But the good news is the frame I bought has a title. The bike I bought from that guy just came with a bill of sale on like a piece of paper handwritten. So although I probably would have been able to get it registered, I'm much more confident now that I have a title of that frame and everything goes on that frame. Yeah, this engine, I'm going to take the covers off. I got a gasket set for it. We're going to check the valves and all that fun stuff. I'm going to go electronic ignition in this, which means I have to replace the rectifier with a regulator rectifier combo. But that's okay because, you know, I want the charging system upgraded anyway. And throwing a electronic ignition in there will be just fine. New coils, coil wires, caps. Bike's going to get a new harness. Yeah, it's going to get a whole bunch of stuff, so we'll keep plugging at it. So fork seals. So inside the housing here is a clip. I have to get this clip out. Then I can drive the seal out. There's also a rubber gasket down in here that we need to get out. I might as well do that now while I'm standing right here. All right, I'm going to replace that. I don't have that yet. I do have the seals though, so we'll do those. Need a clip. We'll pop that out like that. Just don't lose it. And then for the seal, what I'm going to do is just flip it over here. Give it a few good bangs with a screwdriver and hammer. You're not going to hit the side because of the seal. It's way inside there. We'll go around to the other side. You don't have a straight shot down at it. You got to kind of get it at an angle because where it sits, you know, where it bottoms out, there's a lip there. It's going. All right, there's our old seal. Going to clean up nice and good inside here. Just wipe it down with our rags. Make sure nothing can get underneath it. Underneath the seal when you're putting it in. We've got our new seal here. I'm going to run some grease along the edge.
it's going to go in kind of far. Make sure it's sitting nice and straight. And what I'm going to use is a piece of PVC tubing. That and a rubber mallet. I believe that's it. I'll get the clip. Just gonna wipe that up. The less dirt, the better. All right, I'm gonna put our clip down inside. And actually, I was just able to pop it in the groove with my finger, so there it is. All right, onto the rear brake shoes. See, I've cleaned this all up. It's all wet. Just took it out and sprayed it all off. So there's a couple of cotter pins here, which we're going to have to undo. A couple of springs. I believe the set that I have comes with new springs. So as long as they're the same, we'll use those. I have a cotter pin assortment somewhere. Not having much luck with cotter pins this week, am I? Oh, that one just broke. Well, this one's coming out in pieces. See what my luck is with this one. Probably not much better. Of course, if this wasn't on camera, it would be a lot easier, I'm sure. There was that, there was that. Okay. Let's see, these should just pull off the top. We'll have to get them out of the bottom. That was weird. Said my SD card couldn't not hold anymore, couldn't record anymore. It wasn't fast enough for the settings I have. I don't think I have, you know, any settings that are that odd. You can see that these springs are just going to want to be pains in the ass. All right. Let's try something else. So I'm using the same SD card that it just shut down on a second ago. Are these frozen in here? Is that the problem? All right, this one moves. There we go. That one's moving. All right. Usually you can get these things, you know, with the springs on them, on and off. This one doesn't want to play nice. Well, this one had one over, one under. This one, they're both under. Come on. There we go. This one's just stuck. There should be nothing holding it down there. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Man, that shouldn't have been that hard. All right, we're going to clean this all up, grease it up, put the new shoes in. All right, I was going to take this arm off because I want to grease up this pivot joint. Look at the screw, lock washer, and nuts they have on this. That's definitely not right. Not to mention, there's a dot on here that's supposed to line up with this, I believe. And I don't see it. So I just marked a little white tick where the opening is. So it's pretty rusty in there. This is the pivot that came out. It's also a felt washer that goes out here too to prevent water or anything from going in. So I'm going to clean this up. You can use anti-seize, white lube, grease, whatever you choose to use. I'm sure some of you are going to say one thing's better than the other, but you decide. All right, I've got my pivot all greased up so it moves nice and smoothly. This is meant for a 6mm screw in there, and this thing here, how tiny that was. So it has threads on this side, which was supposed to, the screw was supposed to thread into. I did find the dot. They're lined up now, so it's nowhere near. That was my paint mark right there. So that's nowhere near where it was supposed to be. I did line it back up with the dot, so we'll see how that works. All right. I didn't show much. I put the springs on the shoes, got them started on the pegs, pulled them apart, got them on here. Just got to put the plate back on, some cotter pins, and these shoes are done. Cotter pins installed. Now let's move on to something else. So I found a horn. I had to paint it, of course, except for this part, which I did paint, but then I took some acetone and cleaned that off. I believe there's supposed to be some writing on there or something, but whatever that is gone. So I did check it, and it does work. One more thing for today. I think I'll clean up the speedometer housing. Feels awful tight in there. Replace that seal, and we'll clean it up and make sure it works well, spins well. I have the speedometer drive back on, the axle through, the brakes on, so I got both wheels set to go back on. And that's where I'm going to end this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.